Welcome back to Attack on Titan, Anime Review Episode 44. This one you think is reviewing the final episode of the series, but no. It's the final episode of Part 1 of the final season of the show. Yes, it was announced today, the day after this episode already aired, and we're going to get Part 2. Okay, cool. When is it coming out? Winter 2022. Okay. Now, I'll discuss more about this when I finish talking about the episode. This episode adapts from most of the rest of Chapter 115. It's still like a few pages. It seems that 115 is still, if you read it compared to, let's say, what happens in the episode, it seems as though they don't finish up the whole chapter. The only chapter that does get full adaptation is 116. Yeah, they have the whole thing of that. And they adapt the opening page. Yes, the opening page of Chapter 117. The episode starts off quite, let's just say, weird and gross at the same time. We see Zeke surviving the destruction of Thunderspear, and a Titan comes to him. And this is going to be quite gross, that I'm going to discuss next, because it is quite disgusting. Okay, this Titan rips open its own stomach. I'm not kidding. That's seriously what this creature does. That's what this thing does. Picks up Zeke, and you see from the backside, he puts it in his stomach and he runs away. Now, I'm not really sure why the heck they had to include the gross out scene. Maybe the side effect. Oh yeah, that's what happened to Zeke. But man, I'm sure that this is probably going to get censored or whatever. But my gosh, this was kind of gross to see. And then we see a couple of really interesting scenes here. Then we see Yelena having, then we see various soldiers being lined against the wall, just having these armbands put on them. Yes, now, the white ones are the Jaegerists. The red, people who drank the red wine, who were forced to turn against their comrades. And apparently the black armbands, people who did not know they drank this wine. The wine that had Zeke's spinal fluid in it. Yes, I still think this is quite gross. I mean, how the heck did this happen? Like, as far as I know, the manga has never explained of how in the world this process happens. Like, he slipped Zeke's spinal fluid into wine to make people the Titans. Somehow, it's never actually explained. And Yelena basically explains that most of the stuff is partially true, but the actual plan what Zeke wants to do is quite dumb, to say the least. And then we cut to the cell that pretty much most of the Servant Corps, pretty much you have Aaron's close friends, Jean, Connie, Mikasa, and Armin, along with Sasha's family is in this jail cell, which even in the manga, this makes no sense. I mean, if you want to take a protective custody, fine, but why her family? This makes no freaking sense at all. And of course, Falco himself is off in the room. And of course, Nico is here. He, of course, is spouting off some nonsense about, well, the Island Devils. And then Yelena's like, just shoots him in the head. Right in front of everybody, including in front of the kids. Which, yeah. She does that for good reason. Because she didn't like what he was saying. And this other he's a captured Marleyan, like, she basically is not technically from Marley. She's from one of the countries they conquered. So, she wants revenge. Oh yeah, she knows exactly what Zeke's true plan is. He wants to remove the ability for the subject Ymir to have children. That is his plan. Even the manga, I didn't care for this plot thread. It's quite dumb of an idea too. I mean, remove someone's be able to have children. It's so dumb and so much like it speaks to the whole thing of population control. But according to the way that she words it and the way Zeke wants it, it's to end the threat of Titans. That's the simple gist of it. And of course, everybody basically just talk shitting here. And then we see Gabby in a wine cellar, not in the same room as everybody else for some reason. And of course, we have Eren just want to talk with her. And he said first was the brat. Well, they changed it. They referred back to brat for some reason. We referred to in the previous episode as the girl. He referred to as a brat who killed Sasha. And they chat maybe like a minute. And then Peck shows up because he actually wanted to figure out where the invaders are. And Peck shows up pointing her gun at him. Oh yeah, and of course she also took time to stab the soldier who was with him. And she tells Gabby to pick up the rifle. After Jennifer she wants to turn against him, but now Gabby, from what I can tell, sees Peck as like a big sister. That's what I can tell anyways. I mean, I get the fact they're close friends, but I think that she sees Peck as like a big sister. Despite the fact she's not a candidate for her Titan power, she's a candidate for Reiner's Titan power, the Armor Titan. Yeah, she's a candidate for that. And she mentions that the other reason she joined the Warrior program was to give her father medical insurance. Okay. That's a pretty reasonable... That's a pretty reasonable the reason to join the Warrior program. She was protecting someone she loved. Give medical insurance because the guy didn't have medical insurance. Which makes perfect sense. I guess that was the only way he can get medical insurance by becoming part of the Marley program, which... That was actually a pretty smart move to do. I mean, yeah, he appreciated the medical insurance, but he basically said the fact that, well, the fact she has a limited lifespan of 13 years. Now, the thing is, for Peck, she, along with the current host of the Jaw Titan, they don't really say exactly how many years they have left. Zeke, they said he's got 1 year left for him. I think Reiner's got, let's see. He's not near the end of his term just yet, per se, because he got the Armor Titan power just before coming to Paradise Isle, which was 4 years. Let's see. I think that was I think it was about 7 years prior to events. Well, prior to events of present. Well, present before current time skip. So he's presumably got about 6-7 years left, I'd say, of his term. So he's got a little while. But they haven't really said exactly how much he's got left. I think Aaron's got a good 4 years left for him. Armin's got 13. Well, currently gets 4 years passed by. He's got currently 9 for him. But Peck and the current host of Jocelyn Gallard, they've never expressed exactly how many years they have left for their life. I mean, it would have been interesting to find out. How long has Peck been the Cart Titan? I mean, I assume it was probably before she showed up in the 2 arcs back. That was technically her first appearance in the series. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And to keep basically, Peck on a short leash, she has her handcuffed. Yes, handcuffed to Gabby. Now, I should point something out about these handcuffs. Now, they're not handcuffs like you think of nowadays, like the handcuffs that law enforcement use. Oh no, this is old, medieval style handcuffs. The one basically cover your wrist. They kind of look like the same type of bracelet handcuffs that Wonder Woman uses, except these are black instead of silver. And this I thought was really interesting. Basically, I point out the invaders. Okay, and then she's standing outside, and then she points, and it's you. And then she and Gabby jump off the roof, and then here comes Gallard, just plowing right through the top of this tower, trying to chop at Aaron, and then Aaron transforms into Attack Titan mode, and then we see up in the sky 5 blimps. Yes, 5 blimps. On one of the blimps is Reiner. Oh yes, Reiner's here. And of course, Aaron's Reiner. Yes. And we also see while the whole shaky thing happens, we do briefly see the Array basically witnessing this. And I'm glad that they put this moment just prior to the end of the episode. But this was so freaking good. I love this episode. I mean, I guess some people are okay, about time we have some Titan action in this series. Yeah, after the last special time we had Titan action was toward the end of the previous arc. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, great episode. Now, how do I feel as though that the actual part 2 is coming next year, and why in the world they decided to do part 2? Well, the part 2 is probably done for a few reasons. Number one, this season's got so much positive reception to it Like, the negative reception is very mild at best. Number two, I'm sure for a fact that the viewership, basically both in Japan and on Crunchyroll, is like really good for Mappa. That's probably the reason why they greenlit the second set of episodes for season two, for the final season, why they did part two. As for taking 1 year, it almost seems as though that they didn't expect to do more episodes. Like 16 was a planned amount they were going to do, and then like they did the episodes, and I think they were surprised at the reception of them, because the reception I've heard, like from like one guy, actually like a couple people, the reception toward the season has been pretty positive. Mappa has done a fantastic job with the season, and I can't wait for part two. All I know is that, well, and of course everybody else, it's coming winter 2022. That's the only thing we got for release date, winter 2022. Now, that could mean very thing like the 2022 winter season per se. It could be December again, like it was this half. It could be December, or it could be January. I highly doubt February or March. It's probably going to be either December of this year or February or January of next year. But we do have at least like 9 to 10 months, almost a whole year, to find out exactly what the exact release date for it is. I mean, when this first half of the season started, like, the thing with this is that Mappa kept changing their minds exactly when the heck this was released. Like, this was actually supposed to start back in October, and I get the fact they were shifting around, and then finally decided December, because it was signed in October, even before everything got delayed. That I think a lot of people felt this Attack on Titan would not be affected by everything being delayed, but they got delayed by a couple months. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Unlike a lot of other series who are going to delay by 3 months, this one got delayed by at least 2 months. I think it was initially announced to become in October, but then it was pushed to December. Okay, perfectly fine. Like, maybe it doesn't compete with anything else. Like, the only thing I can think of may have been competing with, I highly doubt ReZero. I mean, well, maybe ReZero, but the thing is, ReZero had already wrapped up its first half of the season just a couple months prior. But maybe the reason why, and it's just my personal theory, like, maybe they want to compete with the initial, like, oh, I don't know, like, is one Trigger Girls. I'm not sure why they put it in December for, but it didn't really bother anything at all for me, anyways. No. I thoroughly enjoyed reviewing this series so far, and did I expect this review series to reach 44 episodes? Well, that was probably expected due to the fact the series was still ongoing. It wasn't like some other anime I watched were based on manga where it's no longer on the air. This one's still technically on the air, despite the fact it's on hiatus for about 9 to 10 months. I mean, if you look at it right now, there's technically about 23 chapters left to adapt for the whole series. But the question is this, like, how long is part 2 going to last for? Is it going to last for 16 episodes again? That might be interesting if it does that. If it does that, here's something quite interesting though. If it does that, we might have a total number of 32 episodes, which probably make it the longest season of the entire show. Because the opening season was 25 episodes, and a lot of people love that first season. Second season was good, too short, 12 episodes. And I think that Wit Studio took a lot of flack for that. So, like, they did first season, like, okay. Like, the thing when Wit Studio basically had it, like other studios where they would say, like, how many episodes released per particular season, they were always very hesitant, basically, to announce how many episodes are going to be for the particular season. At least Mappa wasn't freaking scared. No, Mappa had freaking balls to basically say, yeah, this is going to be 16 episodes. Which I think a lot of people, that was a bummer for them because of how good these two arcs have been. Now, granted though, this first half did cover the Pensum arc of the manga really well. Yes, there was some stuff rearranged, but done really well. Excuse me, it took a while, but it got it done. And it did it like roughly. I mean, the first arc basically they adapted was only 16 chapters. I think it took a total of about 9 episodes to adapt. Yeah, I think it took like 9 episodes overall. And this arc so far pretty much took up the last 7 episodes of the season so far while they've been released. And done a really good job. What I thought was quite. Now, did I predict the fact that 107 would basically be adapted for 3 episodes, given its sheer length? I kind of suspected that it would take because of how long the chapter is. I didn't expect that there was a portion that happened later on the chapter be adapted before the start of the chapter. That was a little weird when they decided to do that. But oh yeah, also one thing I forgot to mention. This is a brief scene with Hodge and her group where they apparently, I think they get away from Aaron's group and they see like a thunder truck, a thunder spear, and they get to some place and that's when things stops. I'm like, really? Yeah, really. It's like they just didn't bother to finish like adapting the scene. Like, that's why unless of course somehow they included this, what happened next? I don't know. It's quite weird they include Levi in this episode. I mean, this is the final episode of the season and you don't include Levi? Yeah, that does make more sense to me. Especially since how humongously popular the guy is. Yep. But yeah, that's it for this particular episode. The review. I'm going to do one more video tonight, and that'll be a comic book history on the Invaders. Yep. But see you next video. Bye.